Welcome. Come on in. It's time for another session of the Bridging Insider, where I bring you into my studio with a guest and we take a look at what's going on and how we can help them. So today my guest is Cara. And what's special about Cara is she's actually a bridging student, or has been in the past. So she knows a little bit more about what we're doing. But she's also had a lifetime of experiences and thought that maybe we could help out a little bit. So if we had something that we want to improve today, what would that be?
Well, today, what's most prevalent for me is high levels of anxiety, specifically, in general, right? General anxiety disorder. And specifically, recently, what I've been really focused on is some birth trauma that I had with my first child about a year and a half ago.
So labor trauma.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, labor trauma, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the reason it keeps coming up, right, is because my husband and I are talking about having another child, and it's the thought of doing that right now, even though that was our original plan, is just terrifying to me. And I'm kind of in a place where I think that I'm starting to not want to do that, and I'm not wanting to do that based on
So for our audience
trauma.
viewer, you at home, let's tie a couple pieces together here, because normally I'm working on something that relates to pain or restricted movement so people can be more active and just feel good. And so how does anxiety or all of that emotion tie into it? Well, Cara already does a lot of work through other means, trying to deal with the psychological aspects of that. But for pretty much most traumas, whether they're emotional or not, there's a physical piece to it. And it's like we pull in to protect and things just tighten up. So, if we can help her body just sort of clear out the physical aspects of that trauma from when she gave birth, then that may help quite a few things. Mm-hmm. So the other thing, she's actually quite the competitive athlete. Mm-hmm. And there's a competition coming up.
That's right.
So is there something for that we just need a tune-up, or something in particular we're looking at?
I think a tune-up. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really trained. This is our first competition in 3 years because of COVID and lockdown.
Yeah.
And so nervousness. Of
course.
That's always there. So that kind of thing.
Okay, well, I'm Cara Lindell, and I'm the founder of the Bridging Institute and the Bridging Technique, where we use the physics of the body to put you back together. It's based on my unique background as a systems engineer, a movement specialist, and also a mom of a couple of kids with some unique needs. So with that, we're going to get started. We're going to do a quick assessment and see what the scenario looks like, and then we'll get to work and see what we can do.
Okay.
So to start with, I'm going to have you step forward, and we're just going to check how overall all your movement works together with relationship to the ground. So I'm just going to push a little bit to one side, a little bit to the other, and you don't move quite as easily going to the right, but it's really not too bad. And for an athlete, I have higher expectations. I want this free flow and actually a bounce, a spring back, which she's actually doing quite well. Forward and back. So here's the thing that we didn't talk about earlier. She's talking about the trauma from giving birth. There was a C-section involved, and that's a major surgery right through the lower part of the abdomen. So think about all of our core muscles. That was a really big disruptor. Mm-hmm. And when I take her forward and back, I don't feel it moving easily through there, and the right side is a little tighter than the left. Sit down. I'm going to check the same thing and see how that impacts you when you're sitting. Oh, so to the left is quite easy, and to the right, not so easy. And then we're going to turn, and that's equal, and forward and back. So what's nice, there is movement. I'm being really picky. There's a little extra movement at her head. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where that comes out. There is a head injury way in the past. So maybe there's just a little tune-up from that. Lay down on your back. So just to remind people at home, what we're looking for most overall is symmetry. Right and left, do they match? Because that's when the nervous system is going to be most relaxed. So Just a quick check of legs. Do they feel like they weigh the same? Do they move the same? And actually, left is just a little bit bouncier and easier than the right, but they are actually both pretty good. And do we have a little stretchiness up at the hip? Again, the left is just a little bit better than the right. Can you sense that?
Yeah, I can sense it.
Okay, so we're going to see how arms wiggle and how stretchy they are. That one's great. And let's see this one. Okay, I kind of like those. Grab your knees, give them a hug, and we're just going to rock left and right. And it's easier to the left than the right. Not by much, but just a little. So we're starting to pick up a pattern of some tightness on the right side. So I'm going to scoop underneath your shoulders, and we're going to see how shoulders move. Oh, this one is not moving. This one does, but I have to use a little muscle to do that. And then I'm going to see how your head moves. A little to the right, a little to the left, but there's a transition that's a little funky, and a little to the right, not very much to the right, not very much to the left. So it's interesting. One of the things that you had told me was also there's some neck pain, and neck is not moving real easily. So what I do find is when there's a change down at the hips often, or the shoulders, often the head will relax as well. So I don't think we're going to focus on that, but we will recheck it before we're finished. All right. Another one, we want to see if arms and legs are working with your core. So I'm going to let you put this one down. And I'm going to roll you a little bit toward me. And that works, but not as nicely as I want for an athlete. So there's some context to what we're looking for. Okay, and this one barely moves, especially at the hip. So what's interesting, if it is related to the trauma from the birth and the C-section, I find that it's common that causes some stiffness and movement limitations there. If you think about it, they have to start sewing it up on one side or the other. And so one side typically is going to be tighter. Often we see moms who actually feel an achiness or a pain or a hip pain because of it. So it's a little more noticeable than yours. But I think it seems like that may be coming into play. Flip onto your stomach. Go that way. And we're going to do a quick check on legs. Okay, that is not so easy to lift. So if she's trying to run, is that part of your competition, running?
Well, not the one that I put on my form, but there is another running situation I'm going to get myself into as well.
Are we doing a marathon?
Yes,
oh my
another
gosh.
one.
Okay, so this one, the kickback is actually really nice and easy, and this one is not. So let's see how we're moving through the pelvis, and that is quite nice. Should be some good speed coming from that. Take a look at the shoulder. That is okay, but could be better. And that one too. So they're all right. I wonder what's going to change just from getting this to work better. So tell you what, flip back on your back. And what I'm going to do for us to work through that scar is we're going to just elevate your legs using one of my peanut balls. Just gives a little support, but doesn't restrict movement. And we're going to use a couple of supports for the abdomen. So if you think about it, it was traumatized right in the middle, the lower part of the core. And, if you're a person and you're traumatized, you're looking for somebody to give you some support so that you can get back to normal. So what I find is that our peanut balls are a different way of giving some really big support. It's a bigger area than if I use my arm or my hand, and it's more gentle. So I'm going to use this one to start with, and I'm just going to push in a little bit, firm but not hard. And I'm just going to let everybody introduce themselves, get to know each other, and we want all those muscles to put their friendship back together. So, and I'm just going to rock a little bit side to side. So with bridging, what we are using is micromovements, and it's a way of getting the muscles to match back up with each other and restore the pairing of how they work together. And for different jobs, they pair up in different ways. kind of like at school and at work. We work in teams, but the teams change. So I want some nice flowy, bouncy movement, and we're starting to get that. Can you sense that it's changing?
I can feel it in my low body. I almost feel like I feel my upper body louder. Is that a weird thing to say?
No, they're talking to you.
Yeah.
So there. Okay, so now everything's moving a lot easier side to side, and I'm going to switch, and we're going to get a little bit more tiny peanut ball, and I've wrapped it up so it's a little softer on the surface. And I'm going to put this one in and compress just a little bit more and hold. And we're going to see if the left side moves or the right side. Oh my goodness, that is why that right side is so tight. The left side has a little bit of movement to it. The right side does not. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if they started on the right or finished on the right, but it's quite a bit tighter. So again, I'm just holding and supporting. And, you know, I saw this great explanation on an Instagram post. This woman who's I think she's a nurse with birth, labor nurse. She had a flip of layers that they cut through with a C-section. It was layers of felt, like a felt book. But they didn't just flip up. They flipped around like the way that the muscles go. And it's like cut one layer, another layer, and peel this way, peel that way. And then you have to move the bladder out of the way and then you get to the baby. And then you put it all back. And, you know, what are the chances it all goes back perfectly? So, yeah, just there we go. It's starting to move better. And I'm kind of being a little more playful on that right side because I think it's misplaying for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Helping out, getting your leg to talk with your lower core and both sides, the left and the right. And it seems like they're starting to even out. How's it feel?
Yeah, I felt it.
Is your body talking to you in a more even tone?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not just like stuck up top.
Good. All right. So I'm going to change, and we're going to go just a little bit below that so that we get more of the hip connection, and just make sure that that feels kind of nice. And we want both legs working the same for your competitions. There. And then one last one. I'm going to go on an angle. Different connections between the leg and the core go at a diagonal. And I want to make sure those feel all nice and fun and moving. There we go. All right. So let's see how this is all working together. So with leg, this one was really easy before, and that one actually feels pretty easy. So let's do an apples to apples comparison. And so it actually feels easier than before.
Yeah, it does.
And this one feels really nice. And the stretchiness at the hip, this one has some now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how that all transfers up through the rest of the body. So we had shoulders that were tight. So let's recheck those. Oh, sweet. Easy as can be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that may help some of the anxiety because you'll be able to breathe a little better. And let's see how your head's moving. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, you know, between this being looser and this being looser, guess what else you'll be able to do better? Sleep.
Oh, goodness. That's good.
So sleeping better just lets everything be move better, restore faster. Your brain will restore a little bit, hopefully with deeper sleep or more REM sleep. I don't know if you use any biometrics that you'd be able to gauge that with.
Just got a new watch. My last one broke. Oh, wow.
Okay, that's super smooth. Now that's the type I want to see for an athlete, just easy and light. And this one, and they match. That is amazing. And the right side, the first one we checked, is the one that really didn't move before.
I don't think my hip left the table.
No, it didn't. Flip back over. And let's recheck those legs. And there's one thing I did not check with them earlier. All right, so this one didn't lift.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't check this earlier because I don't think it would have moved.
I don't think it would have. No.
Okay, and this one was pretty good. It actually feels more even, that they match better.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one's really nice as well. Let's recheck this. And let's see if shoulders are a little bit looser this way. Absolutely. Oh, wait a second. We got a little twist in here from the upper body. So we're just going to work that through. My rule of thumb is always we work with what moves best. And so that is the right side. And it's almost like to match up to that tightness on the right side, her torso shifted a little bit. There we go. Much better. All right. Here, push up and sit. And here, let's just check what we started with. So moving left was easy before. And now right is just as easy. And I also see a more gentle movement with her head and turning. Really nice. And forward and back was pretty good too, but her head control seems more smooth and in line with the rest of her. So stand up. Okay, so we're going to the side. Wow, you're like the tree. Just easy. And then side to side, again, pretty easy. And the forward and back is not getting hung up on the right hip anymore. And you have so much more movement. So your feet are going to have to work now.
I know.
So that should help any stress that might have been at your lower back.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, your neck is looser, so any tightness that was there, that should disappear. So the one thing to kind of pay attention to in the next day or two, where that scar is, you may actually be a little achy.
Okay.
Because the muscles are relaxing, they're working again. There's still part of the trauma that they actually have to heal. So, and then hopefully by letting that all start to work and move together better, that the emotional part of that, coupled with the work that you've already done, that the emotional part can actually neutralize as well.
Right. Yes.
So, any questions?
No, I think that I've had the same sort of hypothesis about my body, about the left shoulder getting like basically stiffening because the right side had to do all of that. So I'm glad that was identified because I've had a sneaking suspicion about it for a while now. And when you said that, I was like, "Yep, that's what I've been saying." There's a twist, and I think that my left shoulder was getting impacted by it. So
if you were in my office, I would take some photos before and after, and we could compare. But just to look at you, I think you're standing up straighter without having to focus on it. So I think that from being pulled in from the scar here and that trauma, you come a little forward and you have to work at keeping your shoulders back. But now it just looks like you're up and more open without even having to think about it. So we all want that posture, right?
We do.
Yeah. So I'd love to have you come back in a month or two and we can follow up and see how you did with the competition. And if we need a little bit more work, if there's 7 layers that we have to get through, that they cut through, there's probably just a little bit more to do. But we'll see what you notice.
Awesome.
Any questions?
No, I don't think I have any questions. I'm excited to see how it all feels and comes together over the next day or two. Yeah.
Okay. So just a quick recap. We got our competitive athlete back in tip-top shape by supporting where she had a trauma to her body, surgery from the baby, and getting all that movement through the abdomen and into her legs restored. So that was awesome. And if you found this episode interesting and want to make sure that you get each one that we are planning to do, please subscribe to the channel and give us a little love on that subscribe. Thank you.